Hey, this is Jeff, known online as Another Castle. Welcome to this episode of The Castle. Today I'm joined by V, a Runeterra specialist and a variety streamer. I sat down with V to ask her about competitive gaming on stream, creative outlets, and the good and bad of Twitch communities. After our interview, I put V through the speedrun, a rapid-fire question and answer round. Alright, V, thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I've been around your channel for the last couple months, and I really dig what you do with the Runeterra streams. I know that you do stuff outside of that as well, but it seems like Runeterra is kind of the focus for you. You've played a lot of card games in the past, am I right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated with just the idea of card games. I was like 6 years old,
Hmm.
obsessed with Pokemon cards. I had no idea how to play the game, but I just had to have all the cards. Then I got a little older, got into playing Yu-Gi-Oh! My main game I played as an adult has been Netrunner,
Oh, no
Android
kidding.
Netrunner. Yeah,
Uh,
that was my love and passion for, gosh, maybe 4 or 5 years. I can't remember exactly how long it ran, but tragically, kind of had the plug pulled on them a couple years ago.
yeah, they're not updating anymore, are they?
No, basically, so Wizards of the Coast owned the Netrunner license because it was,
Right.
a 90s game, and then the Android Netrunner was the modern reboot of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Wizards pulled the license from FFG essentially, Fantasy Flight Games, who made Android Netrunner. And then basically they just couldn't make it anymore. There is a fan effort and they do a good job from what I'm told, even though I'm not really engaged with it at the moment. They're called Nisei. So if
Okay.
you're ever interested in anyone listening, if you're ever interested in getting into Android Netrunner, it's still going. There's a website called jinteki.net, which you can play at.
Am I right that this is part of the cyberpunk universe?
There's not like a cyberpunk universe. Cyberpunk is a genre of fiction I'm very passionate about, obviously.
Okay. But
Yeah.
there was a tabletop dice and pen
Yeah,
RPG.
exactly. That was basically gaming getting into cyberpunk, was that
Gotcha.
the original tabletop RPG. But it's been a fiction genre for quite a while, like starting with Neuromancer and works like that.
I've actually got a copy of Netrunner sitting on my shelf, but I've never played
Oh
it
my
because I can't talk
gosh.
anyone into learning it with me.
Yeah, I will say it's a little daunting to learn. It's got a lot of rules, but none of the rules are too complicated on their own, except for traces. Don't worry about traces.
Going through that rule book is I'm an amateur with the card games, so
Yeah, it's not a great first card game, perhaps. One of the things I love about it, but also makes it hard for a lot of people to get into, is that it doesn't really resemble Magic the Gathering at all, which,
mm,
the majority of card games nowadays are some kind of variant of it, especially the electronic versions like Hearthstone or Runeterra.
mhm.
What I like about Netrunners is like completely different kind of game. Similar to like in the way Gwent, it's just a totally different kind of game.
Oh, I'm so into Gwen right now. I can't go down that road. I'll be talking about it for hours.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Gwent had a good run for a minute.
So I've been looking at your channel, and to be honest with you, it seems like your Twitch channel is relatively new. At least your account is relatively new. But it sounds like, talking to you before we recorded, that you've been creating for a long time. Can you tell me a little bit about your projects before that?
Yeah, absolutely. First, I would like to say my stream is officially 1 year old, like as of a week ago, I think.
There you go.
Before that, actually, yeah, for an Android Netrunner again, my big creative energy was all put into making a podcast for that called the Source Podcast. Fortunately, it's no longer on the web, really. Did that for about 2 or 3 years with my friend in the game.
I literally picked up my phone to go find it until you told me it's not on the net anymore, which is too bad.
You can find some like skeleton Reddit threads about like me posting the episode and then people like commenting on it, like, oh, good episode. Oh, you have this guest. Cool.
I couldn't find anything when I was doing my research. Couldn't find
Yeah,
anything
we
about
we
the
scrubbed the
podcast.
net clean.
You were the net runner in this
Yeah.
case. I'm always curious about folks who stream competitive games because to me it seems so intimidating. I love, or I should say, I used to love Hearthstone quite a bit. I do play Runeterra from time to time. I play Rocket League, but I never go on stream with these, or rarely, because it's so intimidating. Does that stress you out playing a competitive game on stream?
What's funny to me is I actually find it. You're talking about like, oh, I wouldn't play that on stream. I'm almost the opposite, where I feel more comfortable playing a game like Runeterra on stream because it's just so like
Really?
you're just playing the game. For me, sometimes I struggle playing single player games because I'm like, oh, I'm so new at this. Like I haven't played this 100 times already.
Right. You're not the speed runner.
Yeah. Just playing card games just is so natural to me, I guess. And like I don't necessarily approach Runeterra as being the most competitive person at it ever or anything.
Hmm.
Like sometimes I like to try hard. Usually I don't actually do that on stream too much, just because like I want to give it my full attention when I'm doing that. But I also like to engage card games more socially. When I played
Right.
Netrunner, the majority of my meetups were not like tournament night. It was more like let's all hang out and like see what dumb combos we all brought this
Yeah,
week
yeah. Okay.
and see what happens.
Do you think Runeterra lends itself to be able to play some kind of off-center decks, not ideal, and still have some variety that way?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the game's very much built in a way that it's more likely to give you just decent games if as long as your deck's built somewhat confidently. Where I feel like in Magic, like if you just don't have like the right number of lands or something in a
Right.
Magic deck, like your deck just will not function.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, or you're going against some other deck where they're like, "Oh, I'm going to counter everything you do because you haven't optimized your deck." I don't want to go too in depth to how the mechanics work. It kind of gives you a chance, no matter what, to at least even if you're not going to ever win against the tier one decks, you can at least
Yeah.
do your double combo.
Yeah, right, right.
I had my alt win con. I got to play this really cute card with this other cute card, and they had a cute synergy. So
You've got your moment. You get your moment no matter what.
yeah, or you at least like have the chance, like, all right, here's my big moment. It's a 50-50 coin flip. Oh
Right.
no, devastating.
I guess for me, most of my experiences with Hearthstone and near the end of when I stopped playing, it was pretty much you play one of these 5 decks or you don't play.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, I think the balance team for Inter has done a really good job keeping it diverse. They have a regular schedule of balance patches that not only
Right.
nerf the strongest stuff, but also buff the stuff that isn't seeing play, which is almost as good as just adding more cards to the game, honestly.
Yeah, right. Mixing up what's already in there.
Yeah, and it just gets everyone excited to just try some stuff that didn't work in the past. I feel like that just encourages people to have more fun with it.
I'm not very experienced with Runeterra, but every time I play, there seems like so much more variety than I found in other games, than I found in Hearthstone. I feel like I'm trashing Hearthstone here. I don't really mean to, but that's
Oh, that's
just
okay with me. Yeah, I think like something that frees them to do that is because the business model of Runeterra is so free to play friendly. Like they don't need you to be chasing booster packs to get the rarest, most powerful cards like the way Magic and Hearthstone are.
yeah, right.
They just want to keep you playing above anything else, and that means variety.
I don't play League, but I do play TFT, and it's very
Hmm.
similar. Where well, I'll buy the pass, maybe $10 or $15 or whatever
Yeah.
it is for 3 months, but then I'm not putting any money into it in between.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am with Runeterra. I put in like $40 at the start to get cards, but like
Yeah,
I have a complete collection many times over. Like I'll never need to pay for another card at this point.
and it seems like it happened pretty quickly, or it did for me at first. I certainly didn't have every card really quickly, but I had enough to build 2 or 3 decks that I wanted to try.
Yeah, that never happened for me on Hearthstone when I was putting in like
Yeah,
$100 per expansion. So it's
yeah,
been
yeah.
that's the biggest thing to me, just being able to have access to experiment with everything. Because that's exactly how I like to engage with card games is a lot of experimentation and just I want to experience every deck archetype out there.
Oh, she was ready for it. Oh my god, I got it! No! Oh, we stole it! Yo! Okay, this game can get.
So I wanted to go back and ask you about what your inspiration for streaming is, or what draws you to streaming. It seems like community is a big thing for you. And your community, like when I'm in your chat, when I'm lurking, there's people that are there pretty much every time. And there's people that are always engaged. It's not usually quiet in your channel there. Is it a desire to create or to perform or something along those lines that draws you to it? Or is it the community that draws you to streaming? Or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would say definitely the community aspect is the largest motivation for me to continue streaming. I think maybe like at first it was kind of that desire to create, like kind of I was like, maybe this is like a way to get that podcast itch without all the work,
Right. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
as you know. But I feel like what it's kind of transformed for me, like especially post COVID, it's kind of scratches my itch to just hang out with people, honestly.
It's like a social thing.
Yeah, like, now I feel like instead of going out to hang out with people, this is, like, the closest thing I can do to that right now and still kinda get that community aspect. Especially, I feel like Netrunner's kinda left a vacuum for me. That was my favorite thing is just going to my weekly meetup, meeting up with
Right.
some people, and playing a game we all agree is cool. Obviously, A, Netrunner's gone, B, COVID means no game's gonna have that, and I feel like this is kinda the closest thing I can get. I can prepare some decks for the week just like I would before, show up, play some games, and have some cool people there making me laugh.
So it's that kind of similar hangout.
Yeah, That's definitely my number one thing is I just like to engage with everyone.
Do you have particular streaming goals, or do you set goals for growth or anything along those lines? Is that part of what you do when you're streaming?
I feel like I haven't really thought about other Twitch streamers that much, and I realize,
Yeah.
yeah, probably a lot of people are really trying to get in there and like grow their channel and keep increasing their viewer count, etc. I don't think I really approach it that way. For me, it's just like a successful stream is one where I had fun and,
Yeah.
maybe someone new showed up and it's like cool I get to, meet someone new.
Well, I think that's part of why I wanted to start this podcast when I launched it, is that I feel like at this level, at the affiliate level, I say that we're at, there's a few different reasons why people stream, and most of the time it's not their primary job, or
Yeah.
people aren't doing it as a means of income. They've got families and 9 to 5s, and they're working around that. A lot of the viewership on Twitch goes to these bigger streamers that are streaming for 8 hours a day. But when you get down to folks that are maybe 10, 20, 30 people watching them, it's a lot more to do with what you're talking about, with hanging out, with having a community.
I think so too.
I know that you schedule out your streams. You have like a Runeterra day once a week. You also have days for other like single player games. Do you get bored with Runeterra? Is that an effort to curb boredom that way?
I think it definitely is just to avoid boredom. I don't think it's that I get bored of Runeterra. I think it's more
Hmm.
that I don't want to make Runeterra boring for me. I love it, but I feel like if I played it 8 hours a day, like Swim or Mogwai or somebody, like for me, I think that would burn me out. I think I'm that type of person that's like, if I do something for too long, I just get sick of it. Yeah, just avoiding burnout on that. And then also, it's a different experience streaming different types of games than
Hmm.
I want to experience it all.
I feel like every time I catch a post by Mogwai on Twitter, it's always about him trying not to be salty. Like,
Yeah. I definitely have seen actually both Swim and Mogwai definitely have periods of burnout and they need to take like multi-day breaks, etc. Yeah, I just don't think it's really that fun to me as an idea.
I think it's totally fair. I think if you're playing a competitive game like this, 8 hours a day, if you're trying to be fresh every time you're doing it, that must be really tough.
Especially if you just have like if you're known for being a good player, like I feel like
Yeah,
there's extra pressure there, or it's like, oh, that's your brand, is you don't make misplays. If you're tired and you just make some bad plays, then and you just notice that viewer count going down, and it's kind of your livelihood, that's gotta take a toll.
for sure. I don't see you get salty when you're playing Runeterra. I get totally salty when I play these kind of games, but obviously if I'm streaming, I'm gonna try not to show that. Do you get salty when you're playing? Do you ever been like, I don't want to play this right now, but it's what I'm doing?
I think maybe because I've played so many different types of competitive games, obviously card games, but also fighting games and stuff, like,
Oh,
I think I've
right.
just kind of got a mindset where I'm like, my goal is not necessarily to win, but to
Yeah.
just experience the game and also get better every time. And if I just always won, then what's kind of the point?
Oh, you're so healthy about it. I hate it. Stop being so balanced.
Yeah, especially like you're saying though, like if you're on stream, no one wants to see someone get salty. That's no fun.
What do you play for fighting games?
Them's fighting cards, I think was kind
Oh
of
yeah.
I played that for a long time, like 100 hours or almost last year. I really got into that. I feel like that was kind of my catalyst where I'm like, oh, like I've always wanted to play fighting games, but this is the first one where I get it.
I think I caught. Did you stream that recently? I think I remember watching a bit of it.
Probably a few months ago, I
Okay.
was really into it. I was in a Discord for new players doing a weekly tournament, and that kind of
Oh yeah.
motivated me a lot. Unfortunately, the game's kind of fallen off a bit, so
Hmm.
it's been harder to find matches, but I am looking forward to trying Guilty Gear Strive when that comes out in a couple months.
Once in a while, I try my hand at Street Fighter and get my butt whooped all over town.
Yeah, I always dip into Street Fighter every once in a while, but the netcode is a little questionable, as is the case with most fighting games, honestly.
With me, it's that I'm questionable. It's not the netcode you need to worry about.
Street Fighter is a very punishing game.
I love watching professional Street Fighter. Like I'll put that on in
Oh
the
yeah,
background. I love that, but I just can't pick it up. It's too hard for me.
yeah. I think like the most competitive games for me are more fun to watch than play a lot of the time. Like I was
Totally.
really into watching StarCraft 2 back in the day.
Really? Okay.
That was probably the first time I really got into a competitive game, and I was in college. Don't think about how long ago that was, playing StarCraft
Listen,
2.
you're telling me that you're playing Pokemon cards at 6, and I'm like going, "Oh God, I'm too old." StarCraft 2, I'm trying to think. I haven't really played that one, but what's his name? Artosis, I think.
Yeah, he's a big name there,
Yeah,
and he moved into Hearthstone too.
that's how I know him. Yeah, when I very first got into Twitch, I was watching the big name Hearthstone streamers. The big ones would host a little bit smaller, would host a little bit smaller, and then I found this kind of bubble of a community at the affiliate level, and I just don't watch the big ones anymore. It's just not my thing.
Yeah, I need to get more into watching, like, discovering other affiliate level people, because I feel like it's just easy to default to, like, oh, who's number one on the Runeterra page?
To be honest with you, when I look for Runeterra streamers, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people playing. Maybe that's just a luck of the draw thing when I was looking, but I feel like the pool's been pretty small for streamers.
Sometimes it doesn't get past one page, honestly. I
Yeah,
think it
right.
kind of depends on the time of day. Also, I think it depends on how recently an expansion came out. I think that makes a big
Right.
difference.
Of course, yeah.
Obviously, it's no League of Legends. Not
Yeah.
yet. Not yet.
Yeah, there's a few streamers for League out there, yeah.
One or two.
Do you play a lot of games when you're not streaming? Or is kind of streaming your gaming time, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, no, I absolutely play games off stream. I think there's
Yep.
definitely like a big difference in the games that I do play on or off
Oh, really?
stream. I found that like single player like JRPGs are like my favorite genre ever, but I find I don't enjoy streaming them as much because I just really want to take in that story and it's like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm
right.
not really talking then. Or like if I'm trying to interact and I'm like, well, I'm kind of missing the story and all this, then like I'm not getting as immersed with all the characters and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. They could be a little dry too. I am a huge Final Fantasy fanboy, or the old ones I am anyway. But
Same actually. I'm
oh,
I'm
really?
I'm replaying some of them now with my partner who's never known Final Fantasy, so she's getting to see it the first time. And a few days ago, we were just crying completing Final Fantasy 9. So
No kidding. Yeah, I'm in the
yeah.
middle of that one right now. I didn't actually
Oh my
finish that one
gosh.
back in the day.
Me neither. I played it as a kid a little bit, but I never finished it until I was an adult. And my goodness, I love it so much.
I got a moment of truth question for you here.
All
What is
right.
the best Final Fantasy game?
Best is
Yeah,
is an interesting question. Favorite
I,
versus
I'm holding
best.
you to it. No, no, no favorites. None of that BS. I
Yeah.
want to hear the best one.
Oh, I'm simply clarifying. I think literally the best, like, if you just measured up every aspect of it, I think would right now be 10, but that's next on our list to
Wow.
replay. So
Okay.
I know maybe it's a hot take.
No, I love 10. I think 10's a great game. And I
Yeah.
think it's pretty well respected too.
Yeah. I guess I see so much stuff on the internet just making fun of the
The
laughing scene, I'll
laugh.
say.
Yeah. There's so
Which
much good about that. The
I
music in
know.
that game is
Oh, all
fantastic.
of them, honestly. I think 9 actually has the best soundtrack, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're completely wrong. Final Fantasy 4 is the best one by a mile.
You
But
know, I have barely played 4. I need to revisit it, honestly.
I don't know how it would stack up. It's my favorite because that's what I played when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
I try to get my wife to play some of these older games, and she can't do it right. She turns her nose up at it. She can play like the new Dragon Quests or
Oh,
that
the new
kind of
one's
thing.
so good, though.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't played it. I got it.
Oh my gosh. I've never played a Dragon Quest game except for, I think the newest one's 11. I
Yeah.
fell in love. It's so wonderful.
On your backlog, you should put Dragon Quest 8. That's fantastic. It's kind
I've
of
thought about trying it because everyone says it's the next best one.
it's like the first of the modern ones, and I think it did a lot right.
Yeah.
And that's gonna trigger all these again. This is beautiful. Can I just say this is beautiful? Look at this big ass Teemo. Ah! And he's gonna connect! 100 mushies. Let's go. 98. but
Yeah,
that's-
okay, so you play a lot of JRPGs off stream. You said you don't really like streaming those just because of the style of game. Is there any other kind of games that you play offline?
Yeah, my other regular gaming habit is absolutely DDR.
No
That's like
way. Okay.
literally my way I exercise is DDR exclusively
Okay.
right now, and riding my bike, but mostly DDR, honestly.
So what are you playing it on? What hardware?
I'm playing it very legal version of Stepmania. You know, I'm not exactly sure of the
Okay.
legality, honestly, but
All right.
it's a software called Stepmania. It's very cool. Sometimes I watch streamers play it. I know they also like Simply Love is another version of it.
I've never heard of that one. Okay.
Yeah, it's very impressive. I kind of got back into it somewhat recently. I fell off for a while, but at GDQ, Happy Feet played Pump It Up in a speedrunning contest, and it was just like such a amazing showcase that just really got me back into it.
I used to love it back in the day when it was at the theater. I didn't play it on the harder difficulties or anything, but it was always a blast. I was
Yeah,
clumsy as heck though.
it's just such a good motivator to me, like kind of getting me that high score chasing thing. But then I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, at
right.
the end, I'm like, oh, and I'm also incredibly, I burned so many calories and I'm like sweating like crazy. So
Did you see the run of Celeste that you did on a dance pad?
Yes, I thought that was amazing. I'm like, these are like my two loves coming together. I'm a huge fan of Celeste as well.
That blew my mind. Yeah, Celeste is an incredible game. I can't play that thing with a controller though, let
I
alone on a
know.
dance pad. That was unreal.
I barely beat the main game. I'm actually very bad at 2D platformers, but oh my gosh, that was very impressive.
That was an incredible game. Everything about it, the style and it was just the perfect package.
I think the thing I love about Celeste is I'm not very good at 2D platformers. I actually
Mm,
mostly grew up playing 3D platformers or just not platformers.
mm.
But it's a game that feels like it's on your side and like cheering you on the whole time. It's like, we know you can do this. Come on. And I'm like, you know what? I
Yeah,
can. And I did. And it's like, hell yeah, that feels great.
like I know there's a giant difference in the tone, but gameplay wise, it reminds me a lot of the Souls games that way.
Actually, yeah, I'm a fan of Dark Souls as well. So
Oh, are
it
you
gives me a
really?
similar feeling.
To me, the Souls games or Celeste, it's not about suffering with the failure, it's about celebrating the wins.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can I ask you, do you play Sekiro or have you played Sekiro?
I haven't played Sekiro. I've actually only played
What?
Dark Souls 1 and 3 at the moment, but I'm hoping to get a PlayStation 5 and play, shoot, what's it called? Possibly?
Bloodborne. Yeah.
Yeah, I've not yet played Bloodborne, but when I get a PlayStation 5, I'll be checking that out and also, filling in my PlayStation 4 backlog because I never had a PlayStation 4.
Yeah, same here. People are so passionate about Bloodborne, but I
Yeah.
haven't been able to play it because I don't have a PS4.
Yeah, I literally, bought a bunch of PS4 games during Black Friday thinking like, "Oh, of course I'll be able to get a PS5," like,
Yeah.
haha. And they're just sitting there taunting me.
Listen, I've seen some people on the Facebook Marketplace. If you want to buy one for 1,500, I know a guy.
Yeah.
Going back to Runeterra though, if you don't mind, I wanted to ask you, do you make attempts to stand out from other Runeterra streamers? Do you have any kind of strategy that way? It sounds like from what you said earlier, you're not really interested in that. You're just playing and having fun and chilling.
Yeah, I think with, like, anything I'm gonna do very regularly, I wanna make sure it's just something I like to do it, and
Hmm.
I'm doing it my way. So it's like, I
Yeah.
don't really wanna try to look at everyone and try to find, like, "Okay, what kind of niche can I find to just get an extra 3 viewers this week," or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I hope I stand out a little bit. Let's face it, like, if you go to Runeterra at any time of day, like, the odds are 9 out of 10 of the top people are just gonna be white cis dudes, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's true of all of Twitch, really.
Yes, that's very true. So I think, like, maybe just being a queer and trans woman might set me apart at least a little bit, like, just a different kind of face out there.
And I know, there's been a lot of talk with Twitch lately about, there's been pushes to support the community. Sometimes it feels like maybe it's a little hollow, it's a little set up. And I know that that's something that's important for you. One of your goals that you state on your channel is that you want to be a source of positive representation. So I wanted to ask you how you feel about how Twitch is handling that.
Poorly? I mean, I think Twitch is also up against a very larger than Twitch kinda cultural problem, like, with gamers
Mm,
or just mainstream in general, but I also think they're very unwilling to tackle it effectively. I think, like what you're saying, they kind of have, I guess I consider them, like, tactical gestures. It's like, "Look, we
yes.
have pride emotes." It's like,
Yes.
okay, but that doesn't really matter. Like, especially if they can be used sarcastically, etc.
Yeah, right.
I think it's like there's always a phrase in the trans community. It's like, why did I read the comments? And I feel like that applies to Twitch chat anytime, especially if I'm watching like a fighting game tournament or something, and then like someone trans is there, and it's just like, oh, I gotta turn off chat. It's like, oh no.
Yeah. It's I mean at AGDQ it's been an issue, it's been a shit show at a lot of fighting game tournaments that I've watched. It's been an issue as well, and it seems like there's so much effort that needs to be put into fighting back that toxicity.
I think like they need to take some bold moves if they wanted to do that, and obviously they're not really willing to do that.
Yeah.
And the big thing that kind of bugs me is that they know it's a problem because they had some kind of LGBTQ talk recently, and one of the questions asked, or one thing they mentioned, was that they are not going to add a tag specifically for trans. Like right now, they have a tag, like, you can tag your stream with like
Yeah.
single player, first playthrough, LGBTQ. They're not going to add one for trans because they, I think, quote, believe it will lead to increased harassment. So it's like they know, they know like what kind of culture they have on their hands here.
Yeah, and I guess it seems like a rock and a hard place because in a way I kind of I don't want to say I agree with them. It's not the right approach to have, but it's true that trolls are going to take any kind of opportunity they can. The controversy anytime there's non-binary tags in a game when you can name yourself. It's
Yeah.
always all over Reddit, it's always a big to do. You had talked about you think they need to do more. Is there anything specific that you thought?
Yeah, see, that's the thing, though. It's like, outside of just harsher enforcement, it's like, it's kind
Yeah.
of tough to recommend any one particular thing. If they want to continue with like their cosmetic gestures, I think one thing that might be kind of cool, there's a mod for this or a browser extension, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
where you can opt in to have your pronouns displayed and other people that have that extension can see those pronouns. If that was like actually implemented into Twitch and like everyone had to have it, I think that would be kind of cool.
Do you mean to opt into view? How somebody
Basically, if anytime someone's message showed up, it was like username and then she, her,
Oh, I see
username,
what you
they,
mean.
them, etc. I think
Oh,
that would
yeah,
be kind of
okay.
neat. Like, and like also at least like a normalize like they, them pronouns or any other pronouns and just
Sounds like it would be very doable too. That doesn't sound like it'd be too
yeah,
hard
I
to
feel like that's like
implement.
a small thing they could do, and obviously they could do a lot bigger. I think the number one thing is they should be seeking out like, smarter people than me that are trans to guide them on this sort of thing. Like instead I feel like they just kind of like huddle into themselves and be like, I don't know, this bee's kind of cute, right?
Yeah, right. Do you think that other platforms are doing a better or worse job? Like if we talk about YouTube or something like that, is there other channels that are doing a better job than Twitch?
Honestly, I think they're all kind of bad.
Yeah, right.
When I first started, some of my Runeterra clips showed up on a channel, a YouTube channel, I should say,
Right.
where basically they just compile Runeterra clips, put them up in their own video,
Yeah.
compilation of funny things, cool things that happened in games.
Yeah, right.
I showed up in there a couple times actually because I feel like that was kind of this is the kind of decks I like to play. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll play 10 games to get a clip, basically.
Yeah, you play interesting decks for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I have a very specific board state that needs to come together, and it'll be really funny. But obviously, like 9 of those games, I'm like, well, I'm never gonna win this one.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, I showed up in a couple of those, and yeah, of course, any comments that were referring to myself there they're no. I report them, and obviously those comments just end up staying, and it's like, oof.
We can have chain chomps now. Look at them in the back. They're so cool and cute. Ah! I thought that was gonna be like later in the level we'll have chain chomps. You can see him in the background. I didn't know they were gonna jump out. Oh my!
I think you said it earlier that I think the problem is very much more to do with I hate to throw the whole gamer community under the bus,
Yeah.
but it's a rough place sometimes. It's embarrassing sometimes to say that I play a lot of games or I stream just because of what that conjures up for some folks.
I don't think anyone platforms the haven, at least a partition of the gaming community.
Yeah, right. I think harder stances would help for sure, but there's no quick answer for sure.
In my experience, though, YouTube and Facebook are both not platforms that were willing to remove transphobic comments from
So do you mind if I
themselves.
ask? When lurk in your channel or when I'm watching you stream, I don't see a lot of trolls pop up. Do you have to deal with that a lot behind the scenes, or is that it's not happening for you?
Fortunately for me, it's been pretty rare, but I
Yeah.
think, like you say, it's a lot of the same people showing up. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I've got people there to have my back. But it has happened, like, when I've been raided, especially.
Yeah.
It's like someone's just like, oh, I'll just raid whoever. And then it's
Yeah.
like, here's a bunch of random people all at one time, kind of egging
Hmm.
each other on.
Oh yeah, right.
Because I'm not motivated by views, I have no problem just banning them all out. So,
Yeah, there you go. I think the biggest mistake is when people don't get rid of trolls or don't take a stance against them early because they're worried about, I don't know, stirring the pot and losing some views. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
but look who you got in your channel now.
Yeah, it's not worth making yourself miserable over.
Are you familiar with Hafu, old Hearthstone
She's
streamer?
a Hearthstone streamer. I know of her. I don't know if something happened with her.
No, I don't think anything happened. I was a big fan of her when she was streaming. She played Arena and Hearthstone quite a bit.
hmm
But I was always like, wow, her channel's really, there's never any hate. And unfortunately, when I watch women streaming, oftentimes
Yeah.
there's something that surfaces. But with Hafu, it was like, there's nothing in here. I wonder what's so different about what's like what she's doing that sets her apart. I guess I eventually figured out that she's got a small army of mods that are making sure that's all taken care of before anyone sees it. But
It's really awful how much extra work you have to put into to just keep like a pleasant place going on Twitch or any kind of social media platform like that.
yeah, for sure. I know myself, I've had people come into channel when I'm streaming and they'll say things that I'm not comfortable with. And then it takes me too long to act. And then I'm like, no, I should have just got rid of them right away. Like shouldn't you
Yeah.
but it's always that awkward moment of like to be the person that tells you why you're a trash bag.
Yeah, it's like you're already putting yourself out there, on microphone and everything, and it's like, oh, and now you have like conflict, and it's like, ugh. I used to have like really bad social anxiety. I pushed through that with my podcast and streaming and everything. But it's like if there's like conflict on top of dealing with that, it's like it's uh
For sure. I'm very much the same. I think I'm very shy in person, and I think streaming is something that I use as a way to counteract that.
yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like when I talk to a lot of streamers, they agree with me that I have this need to I want to perform or I want to be out there. I want to be in front of a camera, and at the same time I'm super shy. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a funny thing with Twitch specifically. I feel like generally, I feel like people that are passionate enough about playing games to want to be on Twitch, more often than not, they're on the shy side. So
Tell me about when you're streaming right now. We talked about you stream Runeterra one night a week. Is that right?
that's right. Yeah. So I stream Runeterra Thursday nights, 6:30 Eastern. Sundays I do 11 Eastern, 11 a.m. Eastern, and Tuesday I do 6:30 Eastern. The non-Runeterra days are essentially variety content right now. Usually just whatever I'm playing generally or viewer requested games.
Well, thanks for talking with me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. This was fun.
Absolutely. Are you good to stick around for the speed run?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Thanks again to V for joining me for the interview. Check her out in the cyber dystopias that are Twitter and Twitch. I'll have her links in the show notes. Coming up next, the speed run.
Give you to the count of
V, you ready for the speed run?
I'm ready.
All right, I got 10 questions for you. I'm going to ask them pretty quickly, and I want quick answers. Don't be thinking about these ones.
I'll do my best.
All right, here we go. What was the last video game that you bought?
Final Fantasy X for Switch.
Oh, wow, that's a good port too, isn't it?
I hope so.
Did you haven't played it yet, have you?
Not yet.
Okay, so the laughing scene is ahead of you. It sounds
Oh
like.
gosh.
What's
I don't
the-
mind it. People don't know the context.
It's supposed to be bad. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Team hashtag the laugh isn't that bad. That's too long. Of a hashtag. What's the worst card in Runeterra right now?
Oh god. They're all, Plucky
Were you about to say
Poro.
they're all
No, they're not all bad. There's just many of them.
Yeah, right.
Plucky Poro comes to mind right now.
Is it an annoying one?
Oh, worst, like it's annoying. Oh, I think it meant like literally just it doesn't do anything.
We'll take that interpretation. What's your favorite brew of coffee or tea?
Um,
Or do you drink coffee or tea?
I love both.
Yeah?
I
I'm
love.
just getting into like expensive coffees, and it's such a trap.
Yeah, I will say I love coffee, but I'm not like a coffee snob. Like it's just
Yeah.
coffee to me. So, but I think I like right now chai tea is my favorite tea.
Okay. Fancy stuff though. I need
Not
the utility.
necessarily. You can just buy a box of Celestial chai tea. I think so.
Still too fancy for me. What's the weirdest dream that you can remember?
I remember when I was like 7 or 8 or something. I had my first aware dream I ever had,
Yeah.
where you could like, oh, I'm in a dream and I can do anything I want. And I was also on a road trip with my parents, and what I wanted to do was fly outside of the window alongside the car.
Wow. Okay. That's wild. I used to have those kind of vivid. What are they called? Where you are aware and you're in your dream. I used to have those when I was a kid too, but I'd never do anymore.
Yeah, I had a phase where I was trying to do it on purpose, and it's too much
Yeah.
work.
What's the hero that you want to see added to Runeterra the most?
Annie. Annie was my main
Really?
back when I played League of Legends, and she's
Okay.
super cute, and I need to see Tibbers rendered in card form.
They've got to add her at some point.
Yeah,
She's
she's very
popular.
popular.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised she hasn't been in yet.
What's the last book that you read?
Oh god, I know what it is. What's the name? If you don't mind pausing, I can literally get up and look.
No, we don't pause here. I told you one quick answer. Figure this out.
Oh my gosh, I can Google it.
I'll come back to it. What is the scariest movie that you've seen?
I don't know if it's actually the scariest, but we're going quick answers. The last scary movie I really loved was Midsommar.
Oh, that was bonkers.
I loved it so much. I love like weird movies, so
What was the one before that? Hereditary. Do you like that one?
Hereditary. I like Hereditary too. I think Hereditary is like an 8.5, but Midsummer's like a 10 for me. I love it.
The actress, the mother in Hereditary, I can't recall her name right now. She
Oh
was
my gosh.
fantastic. It's unreal.
Yeah, so that was a great performance.
What's your favorite holiday?
Halloween.
I was gonna say, Halloween is the popular answer for that one.
Yeah, I think that's the I'm not like the other girls kind of answer. Like
What's
it's
the
not
best-
Christmas.
Yeah, right, exactly. What was the best card game in its prime? I think I know the answer here.
Netrunner, baby.
Yeah. What's your guilty pleasure TV show?
I love Amazing Race. It's very basic,
Wow.
but I don't know. I have so much fun watching it with my partner. It just feels good to watch, and it's like travel porn at the same time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a good one. It's like the
Yeah.
Survivor with that travel aspect in it.
Yeah, and it's like instead of just like, wow, these people are really hungry and mad at each other. It's like we're just going to New Zealand. Woo!
Right. There's one they're doing now. It's like people and their dogs, I think.
Oh dang, I should watch that. I love
Yeah,
dogs.
All right, what's the last book that you read?
Nimona, which is a graphic novel by Noelle Stevenson, who is responsible for the new She-Ra series on Netflix, which I also adore. I love both of them. It was a great
Whoa.
Christmas gift I got.
The She-Ra, is that over now? Did they end up
Yeah.
canceling that?
Well, it's complete. They finished the 5th season and they finished the story, and
Oh,
it
wow,
was
okay.
a
It went
great
for 5
finale.
seasons.
Yeah. Cannot recommend high enough. And I don't like TV really that much, honestly. So,
All right, well that's all the questions. You're too slow for me though.
whoops. I'm no speedrunner. I'm playing card games and JRPGs.
There you go. Thanks for playing. Well, that's today's episode. Thanks for listening. It means a lot to me that you're here. Don't forget to subscribe to the castle on your favorite platform and share us with all of your nerd friends. You can find me on Twitch, on Twitter, and on YouTube as Nether_Castle. Come say hello. Talk to you soon.